So the other day I saw this tweet from Crystal, who is very funny, very entertaining. She does a podcast with this guy named Kid Fury on social media. If you're into like millennial humor and pop culture humor, they're very, very funny, great podcast. I follow her on Twitter, and I saw this tweet. I was like, this is so poignant. Like, I have to talk about this on my YouTube channel, because I do think there's like a generational divide in how HIV and AIDS is perceived. I think that I come from the generation, being born in the 90s and growing up in the 90s, it's like that last generation that it was ingrained in us, this fear and anxiety around HIV. Especially being a gay person, you were basically taught, through osmosis, like, this is the fate that is very likely and very much a reality for gay people. You will die from this virus. I remember being like 6 years old max, because we still lived in Europe. I remember being in the back of a car with family members, and I was, it was one of those things where like they think the children maybe aren't listening, but they're having an adult conversation, and I of course was listening. And the conversation was essentially like, well, Elton John is really lucky that, he is still alive, because, look at Freddie Mercury. Like, gay men, many of them get HIV and they die of AIDS. And it was a very ignorant perspective, but it was essentially this conversation around like, gay men get AIDS. Like, this is the gay disease, this is the gay cancer, which is how it was discussed when it was so, when so little was understood about it. Growing up with those memories and coming from that last generation where it was kind of drilled in our heads, the paranoia and the effects. And some people just didn't grow up with that, especially like the Gen Z kids. I think it's a really interesting topic, because for me to feel the way that I do, and I was just a kid during the peak of this, I can only imagine how people who were adults during the height of the epidemic and the start of like, what is this thing that keeps attacking gay men in particular, and I can only imagine what that felt like, and the scars that left on people who watched their loved ones and their friends die and think like, is this gonna happen to me because I'm also gay? Going off of that though, I do think it's really beautiful how as society becomes more accepting and there's less paranoia and fear and stigma around just being gay in general, we are seeing a huge generational change. Like when I look at Gen Z kids, or now adults, they just have such a different perspective, and they're so much more open-minded about things like sexuality. I actually just read an article the other day. I don't remember where, was it CNN? I don't remember where it was, but it was basically saying that way more people are identifying as somewhere on the spectrum of gay or fluid. Basically, way more people in Generation Z, are claiming to be something other than, straight, heterosexual, whatever, than ever before, right? And obviously, as a gay person, I don't think that that's like, that there's just more gay people all of a sudden, that more people are influenced to be gay. I think the stigma and all of that and like traditional mindsets are getting dismantled, and so we're finding that more people are exploring their sexuality, and they feel comfortable exploring their sexuality and being open to being attracted to different kinds of people. And as a result, we're seeing this like huge cultural change in young men and women being curious about their attraction to the same sex.